The morning started like any other for Ambassador Elena Vasquez. She sipped her coffee while reviewing diplomatic reports in her quarters aboard the human delegation ship Harmony. 3 years had passed since humanity joined the Galactic Synod, and today marked their first formal review. Elena felt confident. Humans had followed every protocol, contributed to scientific research, and maintained peaceful relations with all member species. The Synod comprised 47 different alien civilizations, each more advanced than Earth by centuries or millennia. The Zenthari had mastered gravity manipulation before humans discovered fire. The crystalline Vex could process information faster than quantum computers. The gas giant dwelling Nepheri had developed interstellar communication when Earth's continents were still forming. Elena walked through the ship's corridors, nodding to her team. Dr. Marcus Chen worked on his presentation about human medical advances. Captain Sarah Williams reviewed security protocols. Linguist Professor Ahmed Hassan practiced pronunciation of various alien greetings. Everyone seemed ready. The Harmony approached the massive Synod station orbiting the neutron star Kepler 442. The station stretched across thousands of kilometers, its biometallic structure pulsing with energy from dozens of different technologies. Docking bays designed for species that breathed methane sat next to areas flooded with liquid ammonia for aquatic delegates. "Impressive as always," Elena murmured, watching the station grow larger through the viewport. "Hard to believe they built this in just 50 years, Captain Williams said, joining her. "Our species took longer just to agree on the design." Elena smiled. "That's the difference between working alone and having 47 civilizations contributing. We'll learn." The docking procedure went smoothly. Automated systems guided their ship into a berth designed for oxygen-breathing species. Elena checked her formal diplomatic attire one last time before leading her team through the airlock. The reception area buzzed with activity. Tall, graceful Zenthari floated past using their personal gravity fields. Crystalline Vex delegates sparkled as they communicated through light patterns. Furry Corvash delegates scurried about on 6 legs, their translator devices chirping constantly. Ambassador Thys of the Zenthari approached Elena's group. The alien's elongated limbs and pale blue skin marked her species clearly. "Greetings, Ambassador Vasquez. The Synod eagerly awaits humanity's presentation." "Thank you, Ambassador Thys. We're honored to participate in this review." Thys's large black eyes reflected an emotion Elena couldn't identify. "Indeed, your species has been most interesting to observe." Something in the Zenthari's tone made Elena pause, but she pushed the feeling aside. Diplomatic language often carried subtle meanings lost in translation. The delegation moved through corridors lined with displays showcasing achievements from various member species. The Corvash exhibit demonstrated their mastery of biological engineering. The Vex showed off their quantum processing capabilities. The Nepheri displayed their long-range communication networks spanning entire galactic arms. Elena noticed something odd. Every exhibit included warnings or disclaimers about potential dangers. The Corvash biological samples were contained behind multiple force fields. The Vex quantum processors carried warnings about reality distortion. Even the Nepheri communication devices had cautions about temporal displacement effects. "Extensive safety measures," Dr. Chen observed quietly. "Advanced technology requires careful handling," Professor Hassan replied. "We should expect similar precautions for our own contributions." They reached the main assembly chamber, a vast spherical room where delegates could position themselves according to their species' environmental needs. Gravity varied by section. Atmosphere composition changed in distinct zones. Temperature and pressure adjusted automatically. Elena had attended smaller Synod gatherings before, but the full assembly always left her awestruck. Thousands of beings from dozens of worlds, all working together for galactic peace and progress, or so she thought. The Synod's prime speaker, an ancient Vex crystal named Resonance of Truth, began the session. Light patterns danced across its faceted surface as universal translators converted thoughts into words. "We gather to evaluate the newest member species," Resonance of Truth announced. "Humanity submitted their candidacy 3 years ago. Today we determine their continued membership." Elena frowned slightly. The phrasing seemed unusual. Previous reviews she'd witnessed focused on advancement levels and contribution assessments, not membership continuation. High Chancellor Mordek of the gas giant Siphon civilization spoke next. The massive being's voice rumbled through multiple frequencies. The evidence compiled by our observation teams presents concerning patterns. Evidence? Elena stood, following protocol. Honorable Chancellor, we weren't informed this review would examine evidence of any kind. Silence fell across the chamber. Thousands of alien eyes, sensors, and awareness fields focused on the human delegation. Elena felt exposed, vulnerable in a way she'd never experienced during diplomatic exchanges. Resonance of Truth's light patterns shifted to what Elena had learned indicated displeasure. Ambassador Vasquez, the Synod must evaluate all aspects of member species' behavior. Your people's actions across the galaxy have been monitored. Monitored? Dr. Chen stepped forward. We followed all protocols. Every human settlement, research station, and exploration vessel operates within Synod guidelines. High Chancellor Mordek's form rippled with what appeared to be amusement. Guidelines you follow, yes, but underlying patterns reveal concerning truths. A holographic display materialized in the chamber's center. Images of human activities flowed past. Colonists clearing forests on new worlds, miners extracting resources, families building homes in pristine alien landscapes. Observe, commanded a new voice. Ambassador Korath of the Insectoid Jek Collective clicked and chittered as she spoke. Every world humans touch, they reshape. They cannot exist without changing their environment. Elena watched the images with growing confusion. We follow environmental protection protocols. Ecosystem impact assessments precede every settlement. We work within established parameters. Parameters designed for species that adapt, Korath replied. Humans force adaptation upon their surroundings. More images appeared. Human children playing in artificial gravity chambers, human engineers modifying alien technology for human use, human artists creating sculptures from local materials. They cannot accept any environment as sufficient, added Speaker Valex of the aquatic Sirene. The creature's water-filled breathing apparatus bubbled as she spoke. Always they must change, modify, improve. Elena felt the mood in the chamber shifting. What had seemed like friendly curiosity now carried undertones of accusation. Every species modifies their environment to some degree. That's natural development. To some degree, yes, Resonance of Truth agreed. But observe the scale. New holographs showed human settlements after 5 years. What had been small outposts were now thriving communities. Forests had become agricultural zones. Rivers were redirected for power generation. Mountains showed signs of mining operations. Rapid expansion, noted Ambassador Thys. Your people spread faster than any species in Synod records. Captain Williams spoke up. We maintain sustainable practices. Growth is carefully managed. Managed, perhaps, High Chancellor Mordek rumbled. But inevitable, humans cannot remain static. Elena began to understand. The Synod included species that had achieved stability. They built perfect cities and maintained them unchanged for millennia. They reached optimal population levels and sustained them indefinitely. They developed technology to a certain point and then stopped, content with their achievements. Humans kept growing, changing, pushing boundaries. This tendency manifests in all human endeavors, continued Korath. Your scientists constantly seek new discoveries. Your artists create new forms. Your explorers demand new frontiers. Professor Hassan cleared his throat. Surely curiosity and creativity are positive traits. Positive, perhaps, dangerous, certainly. Resonance of Truth's patterns grew more complex. Consider your own history. The holographic display shifted to show Earth's past. Wars, environmental destruction, technological disasters, social upheavals. Elena winced at the images of pollution, deforestation, and urban sprawl. Every advance brings new problems, Speaker Valex observed. Each solution creates fresh complications. Humans cannot achieve equilibrium. We learned from our mistakes, Elena protested. Modern human civilization has overcome those challenges. Temporarily, High Chancellor Mordek corrected. The patterns continue. Even now, human colonies request permission for expansion. Human researchers propose new projects. Human explorers seek uncharted territories. Alina realized the Synod wasn't celebrating human achievements. They were documenting human dangers. The Synod has maintained peace for over 50,000 years, Resonance of Truth explained. Each member species reached a state of stable advancement, conflicts ended, resource disputes ceased, territorial expansion stopped. Humans threaten this stability, Korath stated bluntly. Your people cannot cease growing, exploring, changing. Eventually, they will destabilize everything we've built. Dr. Chen stepped forward. With respect, honored delegates, growth and change aren't inherently destructive. Human expansion includes safeguards, environmental protections, cultural preservation protocols. Safeguards delay consequences, Speaker Valex replied. They don't eliminate them. Human nature demands constant expansion. Alina felt the weight of 47 civilizations passing judgment on her species. What exactly are you proposing? Silence stretched across the chamber. Finally, Resonance of Truth's patterns formed words that chilled Alina's heart. Containment. The word hung in the air like a death sentence. Alina struggled to process its implications. Containment. Human expansion must cease, High Chancellor Mordek declared. Your species will be restricted to current territories. No new colonies, no new exploration vessels, no expansion beyond designated boundaries. Captain Williams stood. That would effectively end human space exploration. Yes, Korath confirmed simply. Alina's mind raced. Humanity had just begun reaching for the stars. Dozens of colony ships were already en route to distant worlds. Research expeditions explored new systems monthly. The idea of stopping all expansion was unthinkable. This violates every principle of Synod membership, she said. Equal rights, shared exploration, collaborative development. Emergency measures supersede normal protocols, Thys explained. The Synod has authority to impose restrictions when member species pose existential threats to galactic stability. Existential threats, Dr. Chen's voice rose. We've never attacked another species, we've never violated territorial boundaries, we've shared every scientific discovery. The threat isn't military, Resonance of Truth clarified. It's philosophical. Human nature is incompatible with cosmic order. Alina looked around the chamber at thousands of alien faces. Some showed sympathy, others displayed cold calculation. None offered support. How long have you been planning this? She asked. Since humanity first applied for membership, High Chancellor Mordek admitted. We hoped your species would naturally stabilize. The evidence suggests otherwise. 3 years of observation, Korath added. Every human action confirms the pattern. You cannot stop growing, changing, pushing forward. Alina realized humanity had been on trial from the moment they joined the Synod. Every diplomatic exchange, every cultural event, every scientific collaboration had been evidence gathering. The vote will be taken tomorrow, Resonance of Truth announced. Member species will decide humanity's fate. Alina tried one last appeal. Honorable delegates, humanity offers so much to the galactic community. Our medical advances have already helped dozens of species. Our cultural contributions enrich everyone. Our exploration data benefits all Synod members. We acknowledge human achievements, Thys said, but long-term stability matters more than short-term benefits. The session is concluded, Resonance of Truth declared. Human delegates will remain in quarters until the vote is complete. Alina's team was escorted to their assigned accommodations by Synod security forces. The guards were polite but firm. They were prisoners awaiting sentencing. In their quarters, Alina's team gathered around the main table. The weight of their situation pressed down on everyone. They've already decided, Captain Williams said quietly. This whole review was just formality. Dr. Chen slumped in his chair. 47 civilizations against one. The math isn't encouraging. Professor Hassan stared out the viewport at distant stars. They see us as barbarians, dangerous children who can't be trusted with toys. Alina stood and began packing. Her diplomatic training screamed that compromise was possible, but her gut told her otherwise. The Synod had made their decision long ago. There has to be something we can do, she muttered. Some argument we haven't made, some evidence we haven't presented. Alina, Dr. Chen said gently, they're not wrong about human nature. We do constantly push forward, explore, grow, change. That's exactly what makes us human. And that's exactly what they fear, Alina replied. Outside their window, the neutron star's radiation painted aurora patterns across the Synod station's hull. 47 civilizations lived in harmony, each content with their achievements, each satisfied with their boundaries. Humanity didn't fit their model of perfection. Alina made a decision that would change everything. She activated her personal communicator and sent a priority message to Earth. The message contained one word: run. Within hours, that single word would trigger the largest evacuation in human history. Colony ships would change course. Research vessels would disappear into deep space. Earth itself would begin preparations for the unthinkable. Because Alina understood something the Synod had missed in their 3 years of observation. Humans didn't just push boundaries for the sake of growth. They pushed boundaries to survive. And when trapped, humans became the most dangerous force in the galaxy. Admiral Marcus Rodriguez received Alina's message while reviewing fleet positions in the Sol system. The single word, run, triggered protocols that hadn't been used since humanity's first contact with hostile alien species decades ago. Within minutes, every human military installation, research facility, and colonial administration received the same emergency signal. The response was immediate and coordinated. Humanity had learned from Earth's tumultuous history that survival sometimes required impossible decisions. The emergency dispersal protocol had been theoretical until now. Rodriguez stood in the command center of the Defiant Asterisk, humanity's most advanced warship. Around him, officers worked frantically at their stations as reports flooded in from across human space. Admiral, the colony ship New Dawn has acknowledged the signal, reported Communications Officer Lieutenant Park. They're changing course from Kepler 442b to the uncharted systems beyond Synod space. Endeavor and Horizon are following suit, added another officer. All colony ships are diverting to backup destinations. Rodriguez watched the tactical display as dozens of green dots representing human vessels began moving away from their planned routes. Each ship carried thousands of colonists seeking new homes among the stars. Now they would have to find those homes in territories no one had mapped. Dr. Sarah Chen, head of the Colonial Defense Agency, joined Rodriguez at the central display. Admiral, we're looking at the displacement of over 2 million civilians. Many of these ships don't have supplies for extended voyages. They'll have to make do, Rodriguez replied grimly. Whatever the Synod is planning, it won't be good for any humans within their reach. The tactical officer spoke up. Sir, we're getting reports of Synod vessels moving throughout human space. Long-range sensors detect at least 50 alien ships taking positions around our major colonies. Rodriguez felt ice in his veins. They're not waiting for the vote, they've already decided. On the moon of Titan, Dr. James Wheeler was leading a team of researchers in quantum physics experiments when the emergency signal arrived. Wheeler had been working on something the Synod would have found particularly disturbing. A faster-than-light communication system that didn't rely on their galactic network. Sir, we're getting the evacuation order, his assistant Dr. Lisa Chang announced. All non-essential personnel are to report to evacuation ships immediately. Wheeler looked at the experimental apparatus they'd been building for the past 18 months. The quantum entanglement communicator could theoretically allow instant communication across galactic distances without using Synod infrastructure. Lisa, how long would we need to finish the prototype? Maybe 6 hours if we skip all safety protocols, she replied. But sir, the evacuation ships leave in 2 hours. Wheeler made a decision that would prove crucial to humanity's survival. Send word to Admiral Rodriguez. Tell him we need military protection for 6 more hours. This device could give our scattered colonies a way to communicate. Dr. Chang stared at him. Sir, if the Synod catches us working on independent FTL communication, then humanity dies isolated and alone instead of together, Wheeler finished. Make the call. Back on the Synod station, Alina paced their quarters while monitoring human emergency channels. The responses to her warning exceeded her expectations. Human nature was showing itself again. Instead of surrendering to overwhelming odds, her species was adapting, surviving, pushing forward. Captain Williams monitored Synod communications. Alina, They're mobilizing enforcement fleets. Whatever they plan to vote on tomorrow, they're implementing today. Dr. Chen looked up from his tablet. I'm seeing reports from human colonies. Synod ships are establishing orbital positions around every major settlement. Containment barriers, Professor Hassan realized. They're not waiting for a vote, they're implementing the restriction immediately. Elena felt a grim satisfaction. Her message had warned Earth just in time, but thousands of human settlements were already trapped. The Synod's carefully planned operation was moving forward with mechanical precision. The door chimed, and Ambassador Thys entered with 2 Zenthari guards. The tall alien's expression was unreadable, but Elena detected disappointment in her posture. Ambassador Vasquez, the Synod Council request your presence, immediately. Elena exchanged glances with her team. Am I under arrest? Not yet, Thys replied, but your actions have created complications. Elena followed Thys through the station's corridors, nodding increased security presence. Alien guards from multiple species patrolled areas that had been open to all delegates just hours ago. The council chamber was smaller than the main assembly hall, designed for crisis meetings. Representatives from the Synod's most powerful species sat around a curved table that accommodated their various physiological needs. Resonance of Truth's light patterns were darker than Elena had ever seen. Ambassador Vasquez, your unauthorized communication to Earth has forced our hand. I warned my people of impending danger, Elena replied. That's my duty as their representative. High Chancellor Mordek's massive form rippled with agitation. Your duty is to the Synod. You've betrayed that trust. By refusing to let my species be imprisoned without trial. By choosing chaos over order, Speaker Valex interjected from her water-filled environment. Even now, human vessels flee toward uncharted territories. They carry dangerous potential beyond Synod supervision. Elena felt a spark of hope. If humans were escaping Synod control, some chance remained for her species' freedom. Ambassador Korath's insectoid features showed no emotion as she spoke. The dispersal of human colonies creates an unacceptable threat. Unsupervised human expansion could destabilize entire galactic regions. Or could lead to discoveries that benefit everyone, Elena countered. Uncontrolled discovery is precisely the danger, Resonance of Truth explained. The Synod has guided galactic development for 50 millennia. We know which paths lead to stability and which lead to destruction. Elena realized the fundamental difference between humans and the Synod species. The aliens had achieved their version of perfection and wanted to preserve it forever. Humans saw perfection as a starting point for something better. What do you want from me? She asked. Order your people to return to their designated territories, High Chancellor Mordek commanded. Recall the fleeing colony ships, accept Synod supervision peacefully. And if I refuse? The chamber fell silent. Finally, Speaker Valex provided the answer Elena dreaded. Then humanity becomes a rogue species, no longer protected by Synod law, fair game for any species that sees humans as a threat. Elena understood the implications. 47 civilizations would unite against humanity. Earth and all human colonies would face overwhelming force. You're talking about genocide. We're talking about necessity, Korath replied coldly. A cancer must be excised before it spreads. Elena's diplomatic training warred with her human instincts. She could surrender, accept containment, and save human lives in the short term. But containment would slowly strangle her species' spirit, leaving them prisoners in their own star systems. Or she could refuse and condemn humanity to fight impossible odds against civilizations that had mastered warfare before humans discovered agriculture. I need time to consider, she said. You have 1 hour, Resonance of Truth declared. After that, enforcement operations begin regardless of your decision. Elena was escorted back to her quarters under heavy guard. Her team waited anxiously for news. They want us to surrender, she announced. Call back our people, accept containment, or face total war. Captain Williams was the first to speak. Total war against 47 species? Elena, that's not a fight we can win. No, Dr. Chen agreed, but it might be a fight we can survive. Professor Hassan looked confused. What's the difference? Elena walked to the viewport and stared out at the star-filled void. The difference is that winning means beating them. Surviving means lasting long enough to become something they can't beat. On Titan, Dr. Wheeler's team worked frantically to complete their quantum communicator. Military engineers had joined the effort, adding components and expertise that civilian researchers lacked. "Power coupling stable," reported Sergeant Martinez, a military technician. "But sir, we're detecting Synod ships approaching the outer system." Wheeler watched as delicate quantum entanglement matrices aligned. "How long until they reach us?" "Maybe 2 hours at their current speed." "Perfect," Wheeler muttered, making final adjustments. "Lisa, are the target coordinates locked in?" Dr. Chang checked her readings. "We've got quantum locks on 17 colony ships and 12 military vessels. If this works, we'll have instant communication with human forces across 3 star systems." Wheeler activated the primary sequence. For a moment, nothing happened. Then displays throughout the lab lit up with communication channels that hadn't existed seconds before. "Titan base to New Dawn **, Wheeler spoke into the communicator. "Do you copy?" A voice responded immediately from a ship over 50 light-years away. "Copy, Titan base. This is New Dawn **. How are you reaching us?" Wheeler grinned despite their desperate situation. "Quantum entanglement communication. We're off the Synod grid." Admiral Rodriguez's voice cut through the channel. "All units, this is Admiral Rodriguez. Implement Plan Omega immediately. Scatter Pattern 7. Maintain quantum comm silence except for emergencies." Across human space, the most desperate gamble in species history began. Colony ships disappeared into unexplored regions. Military vessels took positions in asteroid fields and nebulae where sensors couldn't track them. Research stations went dark, powered down to avoid detection. Humanity was going underground among the stars. Back on the Synod station, Alina made her choice. When Thys arrived to escort her back to the council chamber, Alina was ready. "Ambassador Vasquez, have you reached a decision?" "Yes," Alina replied. "I have a counter-proposal for the Synod." The council chamber buzzed with alien conversations as Alina entered. Clearly, they hadn't expected further negotiation. Resonance of Truth's patterns showed impatience. "Ambassador, the time for proposals has passed. The Synod requires your compliance." "Then you'll be disappointed," Alina said firmly, "because I'm offering something different." High Chancellor Mordek's form shifted ominously. "You're in no position to make offers." "Actually, I think I am." Alina activated her personal tablet, showing intelligence reports her team had compiled. "The Synod rules by consensus, 47 species working together, but that consensus is fragile." She displayed data about recent Synod decisions, showing subtle disagreements between species groups, resource allocation disputes, and territorial concerns. The Zenthari control gravity technology, but depend on Vex computational systems. The aquatic Sireni need metal alloys that only the Corvash can produce. The gas giant civilizations require solid matter processing that they can't perform themselves. Speaker Valex's water chamber bubbled aggressively. "These are irrelevant details. Synod cooperation transcends individual needs." "Does it?" Alina asked. "Because human analysis suggests your cooperation exists only because everyone benefits from the current arrangement. What happens when someone offers a better deal?" Ambassador Korith's insectoid features showed the first sign of concern Alina had seen. "Elaborate." Alina took a deep breath and played her species' final card. "Humans don't just adapt to environments. We adapt to challenges. Give us 10 years running free in the galaxy, and we'll develop technologies that make current Synod capabilities look primitive." "Precisely why you must be contained," Resonance of Truth stated. "But here's the thing," Alina continued. "Those technologies will be developed regardless. The question is whether the Synod benefits from them or becomes obsolete because of them." Silence filled the chamber. Alina could sense alien minds processing implications. "You threaten us," High Chancellor Mordek rumbled. "I offer partnership," Alina replied. "True partnership, not the junior membership you've given us, but equal collaboration. Humans provide innovation and exploration. The Synod provides stability and wisdom." "And if we refuse?" Alina smiled grimly. "Then you face exactly what you're trying to prevent, uncontrolled human expansion. rapid technological development without Synod oversight, the very chaos you fear most. For long moments the chamber remained silent. Finally, Speaker Valek spoke. You would blackmail the Synod. I would save both our species from a war that serves no one, Elena corrected. Resonance of truth's patterns shifted through complex configurations. Even if we agreed to such partnership, how could we trust a species that threatens chaos when opposed? Elena had prepared for this question. Because chaos isn't our goal, growth is. Innovation is, discovery is. Partner with us and those drives serve galactic advancement. Oppose us and they serve human survival. She gestured toward the viewport where stars shone beyond the station. The galaxy is vast. There's room for 48 species to grow together, or 47 species can spend the next millennium hunting down one that refuses to stop exploring. The aliens exchanged communications in frequencies and patterns beyond human perception. Elena waited, knowing that humanity's future depended on her ability to make them see opportunity instead of threat. Finally, High Chancellor Mordek spoke. We require time to consider this proposal. Of course, Elena agreed. But consider quickly. Every hour of delay makes the eventual confrontation more difficult for everyone. As Elena was escorted back to her quarters, she wondered if she just saved her species or doomed it. The proposal bought time, but human nature wouldn't change. Her people would keep pushing boundaries, exploring new frontiers, growing beyond any limits the Synod tried to impose. Maybe that was exactly what the galaxy needed. Commander Lisa Park crouched behind a crystalline formation on the mining world of Kepler 186F, watching Synod enforcement ships patrol the skies above. 3 days had passed since Elena's warning, and the alien response had been swift and merciless. Every human colony within Synod space was now under blockade. Commander, we've got movement in Sector 7, whispered Sergeant Chen through her earpiece. Looks like Zenthari ground forces conducting sweeps. Park checked her tactical display. Red dots representing alien forces were moving systematically through the colony's residential areas. They weren't attacking civilians, but they were clearly establishing control. The mining colony of New Helios had 2,000 human inhabitants. Most were miners and their families who had come to extract rare minerals for Synod trade. Now they were prisoners in their own homes. Any word from the Quantum Com? Park asked. Negative. Dr. Wheeler's team went dark 6 hours ago. Either they finished their project or the Synod found them. Park studied the alien patrol patterns. Zenthari moved efficiently but predictably. They expected compliance, not resistance. The Synod had ruled through overwhelming technological superiority for so long that they'd forgotten how to fight desperate enemies. Chen, gather the team leaders. We're going to give these aliens a lesson in human stubbornness. On Earth, President Maria Santos stood in the emergency command bunker beneath the White House. Wall displays showed the locations of human forces throughout the galaxy. Most were green, indicating safe dispersal. Too many were red, showing colonies under Synod control. Madam President, we're receiving reports from Admiral Rodriguez, announced General Thompson. Human forces are implementing guerrilla protocols across 17 star systems. Santos studied the tactical situation. Humanity had never faced anything like this, a coordinated assault by dozens of species, each with technologies beyond human understanding. Traditional military strategy was useless against such overwhelming force. What's our assessment of Elena's negotiations? No word from the Synod station, but intelligence suggests the alien leadership is divided. Some species apparently favor Elena's partnership proposal. Santos nodded. The diplomatic solution remained their best hope, but they couldn't rely on it alone. Order all planetary defense systems to standby. If the Synod decides to attack Earth directly, we'll make them pay for every kilometer. Dr. Elena Martinez, head of the Human Research Consortium, entered the command center with urgent reports. Madam President, we've received priority communications from our deep space research stations. The data is extraordinary. Santos turned from the tactical displays. What kind of data? Evidence of Synod technological limitations. Our teams have been analyzing alien artifacts and communications for 3 years. We've found critical weaknesses. Elena Martinez activated a holographic display showing complex energy patterns. The Synod's FTL communication network depends on quantum resonance between specially prepared crystals. Each species contributes their own crystal technology to maintain the network. And the significance. If one species withdraws their crystals, or if the resonance is disrupted, the entire network collapses. 47 civilizations would lose instant communication across galactic distances. Santos felt a spark of hope. Can we disrupt their network? Theoretically, yes, but it would require precise timing and coordination across multiple star systems. Back on the Synod station, Alina was summoned to an emergency session. The council chamber's atmosphere had changed dramatically. Alien delegates argued openly instead of maintaining their usual diplomatic composure. Ambassador Thiss approached Alina with obvious urgency. Ambassador Vasquez, the Synod is fracturing. Your proposal has created unexpected complications. What kind of complications? Species are questioning basic assumptions about galactic order. Some believe humans offer necessary innovation. Others see only unacceptable risk. Alina sensed opportunity in the chaos. Which species support partnership? This hesitated before responding. The Vex see computational advantages in human unpredictability. The Nephari value your exploration data. Even some Zenthari factions appreciate human adaptability. And the opposition, led by High Chancellor Mordek and the gas giant civilizations, they control 40% of Synod military forces. Alina calculated rapidly. If she could convince enough species to support partnership, the opposition might lack the strength to implement forced containment. But time was running out as human colonies faced increasing pressure. The council chamber erupted in alien voices as Alina entered. Resonance of Truth's crystalline form pulsed with chaotic light patterns, while species delegates argued in their native languages. Order, the prime speaker commanded, its patterns finally achieving coherence. We face an unprecedented crisis. Humanity's actions have destabilized 5 centuries of galactic peace. High Chancellor Mordek's massive form dominated one side of the chamber. The humans have proven our worst fears correct. Even now, their vessels spread chaos throughout unexplored regions. Their colonies resist lawful Synod authority. Resistance born from fear, Alina interjected. You're imprisoning innocent people without trial or explanation. We're preventing galactic catastrophe, Mordek replied. Human expansion must cease before it destabilizes everything we've built. A new voice joined the debate. Ambassador Nexus of the Vex Collective projected complex light patterns. Analysis suggests alternative interpretations. Human innovation could accelerate galactic development by significant factors. Or destroy everything through reckless experimentation, countered Speaker Valex from her aquatic environment. Alina watched the debate with growing understanding. The Synod wasn't truly unified. Different species had different priorities, different fears, different hopes for the future. Honorable delegates, she said, her voice cutting through the argument. You're debating the wrong question. Silence fell across the chamber. Alien attention focused on Alina. The question isn't whether humans are dangerous. We are. The question is whether that danger serves galactic advancement or threatens galactic destruction. Resonance of Truth's patterns showed interest. Elaborate. Every great advancement in galactic history came from someone willing to take risks. The Zenthari didn't develop gravity manipulation by playing it safe. The Vex didn't achieve quantum consciousness through conservative thinking. Even the Synod itself was created by species willing to risk everything for peace. Alina gestured toward the viewport where stars shone beyond the station. The galaxy is changing whether we want it to or not. Stars age, resources diminish, new challenges emerge. You can try to preserve the current order forever, or you can embrace change that keeps you ahead of entropy. Ambassador Korath's insectoid features showed calculation. What specific benefits do humans offer? Alina activated her personal display, showing research data her team had compiled. In 3 years, human scientists have made breakthrough discoveries in 15 different fields. Human explorers have found 17 new habitable worlds. Human diplomats have negotiated peaceful contact with 4 previously unknown species. All within Synod guidelines, she continued. Imagine what we could achieve with true partnership instead of restricted membership. Or imagine the chaos of unlimited human expansion, Mordek rumbled. Alina faced the High Chancellor directly. Chancellor, your people control gas giant mining operations throughout the galaxy. Human engineering techniques could increase your extraction efficiency by 300%. Mordek's form rippled with surprise. How? Pressure adaptation technology. Humans developed it for deep ocean exploration on Earth. Applied to gas giant environments, it would revolutionize your operations. Alina turned to other delegates. The Vex seek faster quantum processing. Human neural patterns offer unique computational approaches. The Sireni need more efficient water-world agriculture. Human hydroponic systems could triple your food production. She was offering each species something they wanted, something only human innovation could provide. This is bribery, accused Speaker Valex. This is partnership, Alina corrected. True mutual benefit instead of one-sided submission. Meanwhile, on Kepler 186F, Commander Park's resistance was beginning. Her team had spent days studying Zenthari patrol patterns, identifying weaknesses in their security procedures. Remember, we're not trying to defeat them, Park told her team of miners and engineers. We're making occupation too expensive to maintain. The plan was simple but effective. Mining equipment could be converted into impressive weapons. Tunnel networks provided concealment and rapid movement. Most importantly, human miners knew their world better than alien occupiers ever could. Team Alpha target their communication relay, Park ordered. Team Beta disable the main landing pad. Team Gamma secure the quantum comm station if it's still operational. As night fell on New Helios, human resistance began with devastating effectiveness. Mining lasers designed to cut through solid rock proved excellent at disabling alien equipment. Tunnel charges meant for asteroid mining created impressive explosions that disrupted Zenthari formations. The aliens had expected compliance. They got guerrilla warfare. Dr. Wheeler's quantum communicator, hidden in an abandoned mine shaft, crackled to life as Park's team activated it. All human forces, this is New Helios resistance. The Synod can be beaten. Their technology is impressive, but their tactics are predictable. Fight smart, not hard. Similar messages began reaching human settlements across the galaxy. The species that had mastered space exploration before humans learned to make fire was discovering that raw technology meant nothing against determined resistance. Back in the council chamber, the debate raged for hours. Species delegates formed shifting alliances based on their individual interests. The unity that had ruled the galaxy for 50 millennia was cracking under pressure. Alina sensed the moment was right for her final gambit. Honorable delegates, you have a choice. Accept humans as equal partners and benefit from our innovations, or continue trying to contain us and face the consequences of our desperation. What consequences? Demanded Mordek. Alina smiled grimly. Chancellor, what happens when a species that can't stop innovating is given unlimited motivation to innovate? The implications settled over the chamber like a dark cloud. Humans fighting for survival would develop weapons, strategies, and technologies that peaceful cooperation could never inspire. You threaten us again, accused Korath. I promise you reality, Alina replied. Humans don't surrender, we adapt. Push us hard enough and we'll become something the Synod can't control or contain. Resonance of Truth's patterns show deep consideration. What specific terms do you propose for this partnership? Alina had prepared for this moment. Equal representation in Synod decisions, unrestricted exploration rights in uncharted territories, full access to Synod databases and technologies. In exchange, all human innovations become available to partner species. And if some species refuse these terms, then they get no benefit from human discoveries, their loss. The chamber erupted in renewed debate. Some species saw the offer as reasonable, others viewed it as surrender to human demands. Alina watched the political maneuvering with satisfaction. The Synod was learning what humans had known for millennia. Unity was powerful, but flexibility was essential for survival. Whatever decision the aliens reached, humanity had already changed the galaxy forever. The age of stagnant peace was ending. The age of dangerous growth was beginning. And Alina suspected that was exactly what the galaxy needed, whether the Synod realized it or not. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Sarah Kim, a xenobiologist studying on the remote research station Frontier 7, made a discovery that would reshape everything humans thought they knew about the Synod. Kim was analyzing tissue samples from various alien species when her scanner detected something impossible. The genetic markers showed evidence of artificial modification, but not recent modification. These changes were ancient, embedded in the DNA of every Synod species. "Computer, run a comparison analysis between all Synod species' genetic patterns," she ordered. The results appeared on her screen minutes later. Every single species in the Synod showed evidence of the same genetic modifications, the same artificial markers, the same technological tampering. Someone had altered the DNA of 47 different species thousands of years ago. Kim activated the quantum communicator that Dr. Wheeler's team had installed throughout human space. "Priority message for Admiral Rodriguez and President Santos. I found something that changes everything." On Earth, President Santos received Kim's data transmission with shock. The implications were staggering if the analysis was correct. "Dr. Martinez, verify this information immediately," Santos ordered. "If Kim is right, we're not dealing with natural evolution." Dr. Elena Martinez worked frantically with her team to confirm the xenobiologist's findings. Advanced genetic scanners revealed the truth that the Synod had hidden for millennia. "Madam President, it's confirmed. Every Synod species shows identical markers for genetic modification. Someone engineered them to stop evolving." Santos stared at the data streams flowing across her displays. Engineered them how? "Stability genes. Modifications that prevent further evolution, that suppress the drive to expand and change. It's like someone took 47 naturally growing species and turned them into living fossils." The revelation hit Santos like a physical blow. The Synod species aren't naturally peaceful and stable. They were made that way. "More than that," Martinez continued. "The modifications appear to degrade over time. Each generation shows slightly weakened stability genes. The Synod species are slowly returning to their natural evolutionary patterns." Santos understood immediately. They're afraid of becoming like humans again. Meanwhile, on the Synod station, Elena sensed something was wrong. The debate in the council chamber had taken on desperate undertones. Alien delegates who had maintained composure for millennia were showing signs of panic. Ambassador Thys approached Elena during a recess. The Xanthari's normally graceful movements seemed agitated. "Ambassador Vasquez, there are communications you must see." This led Elena to a private viewing chamber where encrypted Synod transmissions played on hidden displays. Elena's universal translator worked frantically to parse the alien languages. "Genetic degradation accelerating in sectors 7 through 12. Third generation showing aggressive expansion behaviors. A request immediate restabilization procedures before natural instincts resurface." Elena felt pieces clicking together. "This, what aren't you telling me about Synod history?" The Xanthari delegate was quiet for long moments. Finally, she spoke words that shattered Elena's understanding of galactic civilization. "We weren't always peaceful, Ambassador Vasquez. None of us were." The truth came out in fragments. This explained how the Synod species had once been conquerors, explorers, aggressive expansionists much like humans. Their ancient histories spoke of wars that consumed entire star systems, of competition that drove technological advancement at devastating cost. "How did you become peaceful?" Elena asked. "We were made peaceful," Thys replied, "by the architects." Elena had never heard of any species called the architects. Who were they? "No one knows. They appeared when our wars threatened to destroy the galaxy, offered peace through biological modification. Every species could choose, except genetic stabilization or face extinction through eternal conflict." Elena understood with growing horror. "The stability genes, you chose to stop evolving." "We chose to stop destroying," Thys corrected. "The modifications were supposed to be permanent, perfect peace through biological programming." "But they're breaking down." Thys nodded. "Each generation the programming weakens. Natural instincts return. Some species show increasing aggression, territorial behavior, expansion drives." "Like humans." "Exactly like humans. You represent what we used to be, what we're slowly becoming again. Alina felt the magnitude of the situation settling over her. The Synod wasn't trying to contain humanity to preserve peace. They were trying to prevent their own species from remembering what they used to be. How long before the modifications fail completely? Projections vary by species. Some may revert within generations. Others might maintain stability for millennia. And you're terrified of what happens when 47 warrior species remember how to fight. This's expression showed the first genuine emotion Alina had ever seen from a Zenthari. Terrified doesn't begin to describe our fear. Humans are a preview of our future selves. Aggressive, innovative, unstoppable. Alina realized that humanity wasn't the problem. Humanity was the solution the Synod desperately needed to avoid. That's why some species support partnership with humans. You want to learn how to control your returning instincts. And others want to eliminate the reminder of what we're becoming, Thys confirmed. The political situation became crystal clear. The Synod wasn't united in their response to humanity because different species were at different stages of genetic reversion. Some still maintained artificial stability. Others were already feeling the pull of their natural evolutionary drives. Alina activated her communicator to contact President Santos. The conversation that followed would determine the fate of two civilizations. Madam President, I have intelligence that changes our entire strategy. Santos listened to Alina's report with growing amazement. The genetic modifications, the artificial peace, the degrading stability genes, it explained everything about Synod behavior. Alina, this gives us enormous leverage. If their genetic programming is failing, they need our help more than we need theirs. Exactly, but we have to be careful. Species that are still stable will see any acceleration of the reversion process as an existential threat. What do you recommend? Alina had been thinking about this problem since this revealed the truth. A graduated partnership. We help stable species maintain their peace through technological means rather than genetic ones. We guide reverting species through the transition safely. And if they refuse? Then 47 species revert to their natural aggressive states without any guidance. The galaxy burns. Santos understood the implications. Humanity could offer controlled change instead of chaotic reversion, but the Synod had to choose cooperation over confrontation. On Kepler 186F, Commander Park's resistance had evolved into something the Zenthari occupiers couldn't handle. Human miners had turned their world into a nightmare for alien forces. Commander, we've captured 3 Zenthari soldiers, Sergeant Chen reported. They're requesting parley. Park studied the alien prisoners. Unlike the composed delegates she'd seen in diplomatic footage, these soldiers showed obvious stress. Their genetic programming was breaking down under combat conditions. What do they want? To surrender, sir. They say their people aren't meant for extended conflict. Park realized that humans weren't just fighting Synod technology. They were fighting Synod biology, and biology was failing. Similar reports came from human resistance cells throughout the galaxy. Alien occupation forces were showing signs of psychological breakdown when faced with prolonged combat. Their artificial stability couldn't handle the stress of war. Admiral Rodriguez coordinated the resistance from his hidden fleet, watching as Synod military effectiveness degraded with each passing day. All units maintain pressure but avoid unnecessary casualties. The enemy is defeating itself through genetic limitations. Back in the council chamber, the debate had become a three-way split. Species with strong genetic programming wanted to exterminate humanity before their own populations reverted. Species with weak programming wanted partnership to manage their transition. Species in the middle remained undecided. Alina watched the political maneuvering with careful attention. The balance could tip either way depending on how she played her next move. Honorable delegates, she announced, humanity offers a gift to the Synod. The chamber fell silent. Even in crisis, aliens recognized the significance of diplomatic gifts. We offer the knowledge of controlled evolution. Humans maintained our natural development without destroying ourselves. We can teach you to do the same. High Chancellor Mordek's form rippled with suspicion. What do you mean by controlled evolution? Alina activated her display, showing human historical data. We learned to channel aggressive instincts into exploration instead of conquest, to direct innovation toward construction rather than destruction, to compete without annihilating our opponents. She showed graphs of human development, the gradual reduction in warfare, the shift from territorial expansion to space exploration, the evolution from tribal conflicts to collaborative science. Humans discovered what the architects never knew. Natural evolution doesn't have to mean eternal war. It just has to be guided wisely. Resonance of Truth's patterns show deep consideration. You claim humans achieved natural stability without genetic modification. We achieved dynamic stability, constant change within stable systems, growth that strengthens rather than destroys. Elena could see some delegates considering her words, while others rejected them entirely. The choice is yours, she continued. Accept partnership and learn to manage your returning instincts safely, or continue fighting natural evolution until your genetic programming fails completely. Ambassador Korath spoke for the opposition. And if we choose neither, if we eliminate humanity and maintain our current systems? Elena smiled grimly. Then you face reversion without guidance, 47 species rediscovering warfare simultaneously. The galaxy becomes a battlefield that makes human history look peaceful. The implications settled over the chamber like a death sentence. Either the Synod accepted human partnership or faced the return of their own suppressed nature without any guidance. Elena had offered them hope and threatened them with reality in the same proposal. Now she waited to see which they would choose. The vote came after 18 hours of continuous debate. Elena had never seen the Synod so divided, with species delegates arguing openly about their collective future. The artificial unity that had governed the galaxy for 50,000 years was cracking under the weight of biological reality. Resonance of Truth's crystalline form pulsed with complex patterns as it announced the results. 23 species vote for partnership with humanity. 20 species vote for continued containment. 4 species abstain. Elena felt a moment of triumph before the implications hit her. The vote was close enough to fracture the Synod permanently. High Chancellor Mordek's massive form rippled with anger. This decision violates 50 millennia of galactic order. The Siphon Collective withdraws from Synod authority. As do the hegemony of Keth, declared Ambassador Zorth, speaking for the reptilian species that controlled 3 star systems. We will not submit to human contamination. Elena watched in shock as nearly half the Synod species announced their withdrawal from galactic government. The civilization that had brought peace to the galaxy was destroying itself rather than accept change. Ambassador Thys approached Elena as chaos erupted around them. Ambassador Vasquez, you must reach your people immediately. The withdrawing species are mobilizing their military forces. For what? Total extermination of humanity. If they can't prevent genetic reversion through Synod authority, they'll prevent it through genocide. Elena activated her emergency communicator. President Santos, we have a situation. President Santos received Elena's warning while reviewing defensive preparations. The split vote meant humanity faced the worst possible outcome. War with 20 alien species, while only 23 others offered uncertain support. Dr. Martinez, what's our assessment of military capabilities? Elena Martinez consulted her tactical displays. The withdrawing species control approximately 40% of Synod military forces. Their combined fleets include over 10,000 capital ships. And our chances against those odds? Conventional warfare, 0, but conventional warfare isn't our strength. Santos understood. Humans had never won through superior firepower. They won through superior adaptation. Admiral Rodriguez, implement code Omega immediately. All human forces are authorized to use any means necessary for species survival. Admiral Rodriguez received the authorization aboard his hidden flagship. Code Omega meant the gloves were off. No more following Synod protocols or galactic law. Humanity would fight dirty. All units, this is Admiral Rodriguez. Implement ghost protocols. We're fighting a war the enemy doesn't understand. Across human space, military commanders received their new orders with grim satisfaction. The Synod species had made their choice. Now they would learn what humans were really capable of when fighting for survival. On Kepler 186F, Commander Park got her orders just as Zenthari reinforcements arrived. Instead of conventional resistance, she activated mining charges throughout the planetary crust. All human personnel evacuate to emergency bunkers. We're collapsing the mine network. The explosion that followed was visible from orbit. Commander Park had turned an entire world into a weapon, making the planet uninhabitable for the advanced civilization that needed stable infrastructure. Zenthari Command, this is Park. Your choice, withdraw from our world or stay and die with it. We humans are very comfortable with scorched Earth tactics. Similar scenes played out across 20 star systems as human colonies implemented desperate defensive measures. Terraforming equipment became geological weapons. Research stations became improvised fortresses. Even civilian transport ships became kamikaze vessels loaded with mining explosives. The Synod species had mastered warfare against other advanced civilizations. They had no experience fighting enemies willing to destroy everything rather than surrender. Dr. Wheeler's quantum communication network proved crucial as human forces coordinated their unconventional defense. His breakthrough allowed instant coordination across galactic distances without using Synod infrastructure. Dr. Kim, this is Admiral Rodriguez. Your genetic analysis is spreading through Synod space. Several species are showing signs of internal rebellion. Sarah Kim monitored the data from her research station. Admiral, the information about artificial modification is causing massive social upheaval. Populations that thought their peaceful nature was inherent are realizing it was imposed. The psychological impact exceeded all expectations. Synod species weren't just fighting humans, they were fighting their own identity crisis. On the Synod station, Alina watched the alliance she'd helped create struggle to maintain cohesion. The pro-partnership species were dealing with internal revolts as their populations learned about genetic modification. Ambassador Nexus of the Vex Collective projected distressed light patterns. Our computational matrices are fragmenting. Individual Vex are questioning collective decisions for the first time in millennia. Speaker Valex's aquatic environment bubbled with agitation. Sireny colonies are demanding immediate reversal of genetic modifications. They want to become their natural selves again. Alina realized that revealing the truth about architect modifications had triggered something beyond political alliance. It had started a galactic revolution. The knowledge was always going to come out, she told the struggling delegates. Genetic programming doesn't last forever. At least this way you can guide the transition instead of being surprised by it. Resonance of Truth's patterns showed complex calculations. Analysis suggests you are correct. Our projections indicate complete reversion within 2,000 years regardless of current actions. The war between humans and the withdrawing Synod species, intensified as desperate battles, raged across dozens of star systems. But the conflict was becoming secondary to the larger crisis of genetic reversion. Reports flooded in from throughout Synod space. Peaceful species were rediscovering aggression. Stable civilizations were experiencing internal conflicts. Ancient territorial instincts were reasserting themselves as artificial programming continued to break down. High Chancellor Mordek's Siphon Collective discovered this personally when their own colonies began fighting each other for the first time in 50,000 years. This is intolerable, Mordek declared during an emergency transmission to his allies. The humans have poisoned galactic civilization with knowledge of our true nature. But Ambassador Zorth of the Keth hegemony was dealing with his own crisis. Chancellor, my species is fragmenting into territorial tribes. Ancient clan rivalries are resurging. We may not have the unity necessary to continue this war. Alina monitored these communications from her position on the Synod station. The anti-human alliance was discovering that fighting a war required the very aggressive instincts their genetic programming had suppressed. How long before their coalition collapses entirely? The Zenthari delegate consulted her tactical displays. Projections suggest 6 months at current degradation rates. Several species are already withdrawing forces to deal with internal conflicts. Alina made a decision that would determine humanity's future. I'm calling for an emergency session, all species, including the withdrawing ones. The emergency session convened in the main assembly chamber with representatives from both alliance factions attending virtually. The chamber buzzed with tension as species that had declared war on each other attempted diplomacy. Elena stood before the gathered delegates with humanity's final offer. Honored representatives, we face a choice that will determine the future of galactic civilization. You can continue fighting evolution and watch your societies tear themselves apart. Or you can embrace guided change and build something better than what the architects imposed. High Chancellor Mordek's image flickered with static from his war-torn territory. Humans caused this crisis. Your very existence triggered our reversion. No, Chancellor, we revealed a crisis that was always coming. The architect modifications were temporary solutions to permanent challenges. Natural evolution always finds a way. Elena gestured toward displays showing the ongoing chaos throughout Synod space. Look around you. Species that haven't fought wars in millennia are rediscovering violence. Civilizations that achieved perfect stability are fracturing into competing factions. The old order is ending whether you accept it or not. She activated new displays showing human historical data. But it doesn't have to end in chaos. Humans learn to manage aggressive instincts through competitive cooperation. We learn to direct innovation toward construction rather than destruction. We learn to grow without destroying what we'd built. Ambassador Korith's insectoid form trembled with suppressed aggression. What specific assistance do humans offer? Elena was ready with detailed proposals. Transitional governments that can handle social change. Economic systems that channel competition productively. Technological development that strengthens rather than destabilizes. Cultural frameworks that preserve identity while allowing growth. In exchange for what? Demanded Mordek. Partnership, not dominance, not submission. Equal collaboration between species learning to be themselves again. Resonance of Truth's patterns showed intensive calculation. The mathematics suggest human guidance could reduce transition casualties by significant percentages. Elena watched as alien delegates considered her proposal. Some showed interest, others displayed suspicion, all showed fear of an uncertain future. The choice is yours, she concluded. Fight the inevitable and watch civilization collapse, or embrace change and build something better. The debate that followed lasted for days as species struggled with their decision. Reports from their home territories grew increasingly desperate as genetic reversion accelerated under the stress of conflict. Finally, High Chancellor Mordek's image appeared in the chamber. His massive form showed signs of the aggression his species was rediscovering. The Siphon Collective agrees to provisional partnership. Our territorial conflicts require immediate management assistance. One by one, the other withdrawing species made similar announcements. The anti-human alliance collapsed as practical necessity overcame ideological opposition. Elena felt exhausted triumph as the last species agreed to partnership terms. Humanity had survived its trial by fire, but the real work was just beginning. Welcome to the future, she announced to the assembled delegates. It won't be peaceful like your past, and it won't be easy like your programming, but it will be real and it will be yours. President Santos received Elena's success report while watching human colonies emerge from their defensive positions. The war was ending, but the challenge of managing galactic transition was just beginning. Dr. Martinez, prepare our xenobiological teams for the largest cultural intervention in galactic history. 47 species are going to need guidance learning how to be themselves again. Elena Martinez nodded grimly. It's going to be the greatest test humanity has ever faced, teaching other species to manage instincts we're still learning to control ourselves. But if we succeed, we'll have helped create the first truly stable galactic civilization. Not artificial peace through genetic programming, but dynamic balance through managed evolution. Santos looked out at the stars where human and alien ships were beginning to work together instead of fighting each other. And if we fail? Then the galaxy returns to the wars that nearly destroyed it before the architects intervened. Except this time, there won't be anyone to impose peace from outside. The stakes couldn't be higher, but humanity had proven something important during their trial. They weren't just another aggressive species destined to destroy themselves. They were a species that had learned to grow without self-destruction. Now they had the chance to teach that lesson to an entire galaxy. Elena returned to Earth 6 months later to find a world transformed by its new role. Humanity had gone from junior members of galactic civilization to essential partners in its reconstruction. "How does it feel to have saved two civilizations?" President Santos asked during Elena's debriefing. Elena looked out at the bustling spaceport where human and alien ships worked side by side, like the beginning of something incredible and terrifying. "Any regrets about how we handled the crisis?" Elena thought about the path that had led them here. The desperate evacuation, the guerrilla warfare, the revelation of genetic manipulation, the political maneuvering that had prevented galactic war. "Just one," she said finally. "I wish we could have done it without so much fear on both sides." Santos nodded. But maybe fear was necessary. It made everyone face truths they'd been avoiding for millennia. Elena watched a group of human children playing with young aliens from a dozen different species. All of them were growing up in a galaxy where change was natural instead of forbidden. "The next generation won't need fear," she observed. "They'll grow up thinking cooperation and competition can coexist, that innovation and stability aren't opposites. Think it will work, this partnership between natural humans and transitioning aliens." Elena smiled as she watched the children adapt their games to accommodate different physical abilities and communication methods. "Ask me in a few hundred years, but if it does work, we'll have accomplished something the architects never imagined." "What's that?" "Peace that grows stronger through challenge instead of weaker. Stability that improves instead of stagnates. A civilization that can change and grow without destroying itself." Santos joined Elena at the window as another ship launched toward the stars carrying mixed human and alien crews. "Sounds like something worth working toward." "Sounds like something worth being human for," Elena agreed. The word that had once meant judgment had become invitation. Humanity's refusal to stop growing, changing, and pushing forward had challenged galactic civilization to grow beyond its limitations. The cosmic synod had turned on humanity, but in the end, both species had turned toward each other. And the galaxy would never be the same.